Hello? Check. All right, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm just out here to say a few words. My name is Samir. I lived in Philadelphia for quite some time. I went to undergrad. I did my undergrad at Penn. And my friend and I are out here, and just we wanted to share a message. I don't know if folks can see my shirt. I don't know if folks can see my shirt, but my shirt says Brown, born in USA. I'm next, right? And I hope that that's not lost on people what that means. I got my passport right here. Right here. I was born in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, grew up in New Jersey. And I hope it's not lost on everyone that what I'm doing right now means that I'm next up to get taken. I'm next up to get taken by the state. I hope people understand what that means. I've got some names here on the truck that for anybody who's paying attention should be aware of these names. Mahmoud Khalil, Rumeza Ozturk, and now Kilmar Garcia. Just take a second to think about those names. Right now, two of these folks are in Louisiana detention, immigrant detention center, and one is in fucking El Salvador. One is in El Salvador right now because he was disappeared. He wasn't deported, all right? I want folks to be very clear on this. Kilmar was not deported. He was disappeared, abducted by the state, and actually he was trafficked. He was human trafficked for political reasons. For folks that are walking around and going about their day, I totally understand. But I hope that that is clear to everyone what the fuck is happening right now. You have an individual who is just living his life, has a family, has a kid, and by a quote-unquote administrative error was taken and was sent to El Salvador, where he will most likely die in prison. Just living his life, picked up, sent across the world, and he's most likely going to die in this mega prison, and he'll never see. What was that? You want to debate, sir? Come on, come over here, tough guy. Yeah, where he came from. All right. Where did your answers come from, buddy? Where did your ancestors come from? Yeah, okay, walk away. See, even in Philly, you've got examples of this gentleman walk by and says, El Salvador, where he came from. He's a resident here. What the hell is wrong with you? This is the kind of normalization, this kind of casual, anybody that looks different or thinks different or is from another place, those of us that are actually progressive, we're even shutting our mouths now. We're saying, oh, what can you do? What can you do? This guy was disappeared and sent to another country where he's going to die in a mega prison, and you've got this motherfucker Trump and Bukele sitting there and gleefully talking about this. Gleefully talking about, oh, we can return him. Trump sitting there like a fucking idiot, smirking because he has no backbone and he has no humanity. And I feel for him. He's a broken man. He's a broken person. He needs to come see me for therapy. Because I am a therapist and I'll see him for free. But you have these motherfuckers sitting there and taking glee and taking a man from his family and sending him away to die in this mega prison. Now, some of us know America's sins. We know the history. We know how it's been whitewashed from the very beginning. I learned about the three ships. I learned about Columbus. I didn't learn about the Trail of Tears. We all know this. But for anyone who thinks that we're in normal times right now, that the objective of these people, of Donald Trump, of Russell Vogt, of J.D. Vance, is anything but a sheer autocracy where you might be white and well-to-do, you might be a white cishet male. If you think that you're insulated from what's going on right now, and thought crime police won't come for you, you're living in a fucking dream. I'm telling you, you are living in a dream. This isn't something that's far away. This isn't something that's abstract. That whole line of they came for XYZ, then they came for XYZ, guess what? That's happening right now. If you think that you're insulated from this, unless you're a fucking Nazi or you're a billionaire, pick again. You might find that, oh, I'm not doing anything, I'm just living my life. You send a text message. You might find in the not so distant future that someone's coming to check up on you. If you think that that's hyperbole, you need to wake the fuck up. Even if you don't do it for other people, do it for yourself, do it for your family, and prepare. Whatever you choose to do in this moment, fine. If you choose to recognize what's happening and ignore it, fine. If you choose to leave, fine. If you're on the side of the Nazis, fine. But have your eyes open to what is happening. My shirt, it says, Brown, born in the USA. I'm next, right? I want these motherfuckers to come and take me away. I dare you to. I got my passport right here. ICE, they'll probably claim the lies are so widespread and out in the open, they'll probably claim that I'm from India. In India. Well, guess what? I wasn't born in India. I was born in Pennsylvania. I'm as American as it gets. My parents came over in the early 70s, made a life for themselves here. I was born in Pennsylvania, grew up in New Jersey. I am the American story. Do I think that by doing what I'm doing right now, organizing protests civil disobedience, do I think I'm going to be okay because I'm a U.S. citizen and I was born here? Fuck no. Actually, the more I insult these guys, because they're so blatantly thin-skinned and weak, the more I insult these small men, the more they're probably going to come after me. And I repeat it. I want you to come after me. I'm not going to stop speaking. I'm going to Washington, D.C. this weekend. I'm going to do exactly what I'm doing. It almost feels silly to talk about because the absurdities that we're facing right now, for anybody who's paying any attention whatsoever, should be extremely clear. But if they want to go down this path, if they want to say, whatever, homegrown is next, I'm homegrown, come get me. I'm not a terrorist. I don't advocate violence. I'm using my voice. Apparently, that is more than enough to disappear me to India or Sri Lanka or Nepal, whatever other bullshit reason they come up with to disappear me. There's a lot of folks that I think that are waking up to where we are right now. A lot of folks aren't. This is something I talk about with people all the time. As long as you are aware of where we are, make whatever decision you want, that's fine. But for people that are more vulnerable, soon for you, you won't have the luxury of being in denial. Just be clear about what's happening and make a choice, but do not be in denial about what is happening. And I'm sorry to have to say, but I see that everywhere. I see it everywhere. And maybe one of the reasons for that is, just like me, I'm sure many people walking around were born here, grew up here, don't really have an understanding of how bad things can get. Over and over, the next crazy thing happens. What can you do? It'll work itself out. we'll get to the midterms and we'll elect a do-nothing Democrat. The midterms? Are you fucking insane? But I understand why. I understand why that notion of, you know what, it can't happen here. The next thing, it'll work itself out. There's a complacency there that if you haven't lived in a failed state, if you haven't lived in an autocracy, you are automatically going to be underestimating where we're at and where we're going. It's just a fact. We have very, very strong defenses psychologically from acknowledging where we are. But you do not have that luxury. Every single person walking around, unless you are a Nazi, unless you are a billionaire, unless you are super well connected, you are not insulated from this shit. I don't know how much clearer to make that. I mean, some of my friends and family still think I'm being a little alarmist. I don't see how that could possibly be argued that anyone is being alarmist, sounding the alarm right now, after what we've seen. You know, administrations in the past that might have used things like the Patriot Act might have disappeared people. There was at least perhaps a shred of we're clinging to a principle. We're doing this for the greater good, whatever that's defined as. What you're seeing right now is somebody basically bending over the population, screwing them in the ass, and doing it gleefully. That is not an exaggeration. You have the president of the supposed free world sitting with a dictator in the Oval Office, taking glee in having sent this man to almost a certain death in El Salvador. Do people realize how fucked up that is and what that means? Without resistance on every level by everyone, what they're doing right now is they're testing the boundaries. They're doing the most egregious stuff, and they're saying, "Hey, what are people going to do about it? Let's try this. What are they going to do? Let's try this. What are they going to do?" And apparently, none of us can really be bothered to get out of our comfort zone and address this. You're seeing the next stage of this now: open flaunting of the judiciary, open disregard of federal judges ruling against them. There's no even pretending anymore. Stonewalling on the fact that they have to bring this man back. To the point that now you finally have some fucking Democrats waking up. And a couple of these folks are making a trip to El Salvador to try to at least make contact with this man. The administration is saying, we can't bring him back. Bukele, like an idiot, sitting there with his, his J. Crew outfit, because it's all about the PR and the image that he puts off, sitting there saying, "Oh, what power do I have to return a criminal?" It's obvious to everyone. In 3 seconds, they could reverse that decision and bring that man back. It's so plainly obvious that they do that and they're not. And the glee and the non-resistance to this, that is what paves the way for an actual autocracy where now everyone that is walking around this city, this nation, is now going to be at risk. Every single fucking person that and I if you think that is exactly are looking at Americans like, what the fuck are y'all doing? This is happening. You're just sitting there watching Monday Night Football. You're going to dinner. You're, going to your board game night, wherever the hell you do. There's a reason that everyone else in the world is shocked that there weren't millions of Americans on day one in the streets. They can see the complacency. They can see that we have absolutely no fucking clue what a failed state actually looks like. That alone, if you hear somebody from Eastern Europe, you hear somebody from South America, ask, honestly, what the hell are Americans doing? What are they doing? They're not doing anything. Do you think that they're saying that out of to score points? No, they are very honestly shocked at the lack of resistance on all levels, individual people, politicians of all stripes. Now you finally have some people waking up. But these folks are telling us everything that's happening now needed to happen months ago. I don't know how much plainer to make this to people. I mean, what does it have to take, really? Raise Oscar, after Ramadan, was going to get a meal with friends, and what, 5 or 6 plainclothes, hooded men came up and just took her. No ID, no badges, no identification, no reason. Took her and sent her off to Louisiana. You talk about as fucking cowardly as it gets. Why do you think they sent her to Louisiana? Because down there you've got an immigration court, which is basically more of an admin court where they can say this person is a threat and they can send them off with a lot less attention. A lot less attention if we are not paying attention. There's so many ways in which any pretense of legality or a process or a decency is out the window. And the cruelty is the point. The cruelty is the point. They arrested Mahmoud Khalil because he was, what, quote unquote, aligned with Hamas, whatever the fuck that means. I guess speaking against the state of Israel gets you disappeared to a mega prison to die in now. Is that where we're at? I think most people can honestly say and earnestly say that criticizing the state of Israel does not equal anti-Semitism. I mean, this is basic shit. But again, this is not really about what she actually said or what Mahmoud actually said. It's a it's a precedent, and that the precedent now is we think you're quote unquote aligned with a terrorist organization because you wrote an op-ed supporting Palestine. That is the standard now. If that doesn't make you think, what the fuck are we doing? What am I saying? Maybe I should be a little bit more careful. Then you need to wake the fuck up. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like going around and smacking people. We're still living in this fantasy land of, oh, what can you do? It's so far away. It can't happen to me. American, yeah, I like baseball. And whatever I say, I'm not doing anything. I'm just saying words. The time where you'll be able to say all the words you want freely, we are going down that path. We are in the middle of that path. We're just sitting here like morons. Now, I understand why it happens. As I said earlier, and speaking for myself, I was born here. I was born in Doylestown. I grew up in New Jersey. Even as I'm standing here, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? This is crazy. You're like stoking fear. You're being alarmist. Then I have to remind myself where we are. I'm not really one for being over dramatic. That would probably be an issue because I'm a therapist. It's just constant going back and forth. These parts of me in battle of, it'll work itself out to no. Not only are we down a path, but these people have made crystal clear what the path is. Anybody who doesn't know what Project 2025 is by this point, if you don't know what Project 2025 is, then I hope that you're a Nazi or a billionaire. Because if you don't understand how Project 2025 has implications for you, again, You are fucking dreaming and you need to wake up. This isn't a situation where, yes, they may seem chaotic and they are flooding the zone with all this stuff every day, but we know exactly what they're doing. We know exactly what they plan to do. It's written down. The Heritage Foundation released this plan in 2022. If you look at the language that's in Project 2025, and then you look at the executive orders that have been passed, the language, the overlap, it's remarkable. It's almost verbatim in a lot of cases. In a lot of these areas, cutting education, killing free speech, going after universities, gutting all of the data in government systems so that we have no idea what to base what they're actually doing on. All this stuff is happening. I think it was Russell Lowe that said, who was one of the architects of Project 2025, who's now the director of OMB, because he worked in one of the key architects that said Project 2025 is more people than you could ever imagine. For what? 40 to 50% of the projects that are already passed. 43%. It's all out there in plain sight. If there's a blueprint, you've got a tour guide. The tour guide says, "Hey, I'm going to walk you to a scoop of river, then I'm going to shoot you and I'm going to throw you in the water." And we're like, "Okay, great, haha." And we walk along. We know what they're doing. We know what the plan is. But for a lot of different reasons, we choose to say, "What can you do?" We know where they're going with all of this. Project 2025 is 900 and something pages. So I understand not reading the whole thing. There's a lot of summaries out there. There's trackers out there where you can follow exactly what is in that plan, and you can keep track. You can see exactly where they're going. And it's the idea that there isn't mass resistance on every level to this situation with Kilmar and this situation with Mahmoud and Ramesa. The fact that there isn't resistance, mass resistance on every level by individuals, institutions, universities, politicians, judges, it's telling them this is awesome. We can do whatever the fuck we want. We expected some resistance, but no one is doing shit. Now you have a federal judge that's actually standing up to this, and they're probably ignoring it. What do you think happens when the government gets ignored? The unitary executive. We know what the end game is. Dictatorship. Any semblance of checks and balances that we've depended on for 250 years, gone. Trafficking this man and then ignoring federal judges. These are the dominoes that are falling that enable this, that allow this to happen. And I really believe, based on the current path, if I'm not already sent to wherever the hell they might send me, I'm going to be back here in 2 months. And the homegrowns, as they call them, they'll be taken a bunch of them. They'll have shut down more universities. They'll have scrubbed a lot more government data. They'll have ignored more federal orders. And then some of you walking around will start to wonder, oh shit, maybe I should be paying more attention. Maybe I'm not immune to this. Maybe when I'm stopped for speeding, they're gonna check my phone and see what's in there. Maybe my friend, when they're flying to Tampa, they're gonna do a random search because he's Muslim, because his name is Samir, or Mahmoud, or whatever. There is still every opportunity for everyone listening to distance themselves from this. Consider yourself lucky if by now you don't know a federal worker that's been fired, You don't know a person of color that's been harassed. You don't know a Muslim that's been stopped. You don't know somebody on Social Security who's might commit suicide or fall into a deep depression because they don't know if they're going to get their Social Security. You don't know a vet that can't see somebody because they've got it all VA staff. If you don't know somebody who's already personally affected by Project 2025 in this administration, consider yourself lucky. Consider yourself lucky and realize in a week, a month, a year, virtually everyone you know, outside of Nazis and fascists and billionaires, everyone will know people that are affected in the flesh by this. This is not abstract. It stopped being abstract for millions of people in this country. So what do? There's a lot of ways to resist. What I know for sure is we need a lot more resistance on every level. And we need people, especially white people, especially Gen X and millennials, we need you to put some risk out there. We need you to take on some risk. Put your bodies on the line. Get uncomfortable. If you don't think that that's necessary, if you think resistance can happen to this in a way that's comfortable, in a way where you don't have to be inconvenienced, in a way that you're not in danger, you are living in a fucking dream. You are living in a fantasy world. If you don't think that the longer we wait, the more the resistance and the resistors will be beaten, will be silenced, will be sent away. Every single day that passes ensures that. If you can't be out on top of a truck speaking, I get that. There's a lot of different ways to resist. You can write with politicians. Go to your universities and say you support them. Hey, Harvard, really fucking good job standing up to these guys. We need more of that from every institution. You can check in on friends and family that are resisting. There's a lot of different ways to resist. If you don't want to resist, fine. I keep coming back to just understand where we are. Whatever you choose to do, understand where we are, and then make your decision off of that. Understand what this is going to mean for you if we continue down this path. What it's going to mean for you a month from now, 2 months from now, a year from now. And if you say, you know what, fuck it, whatever, I'll deal with it. I got a lot of money. I can leave. If that's your choice, fine. Fine. But don't be blind to where we are. And by and large, that's what we still are, is blind. And apparently willfully ignorant of where we are. There's some of us that have been resisting. Some of you folks may be involved with groups like 5051 and Indivisible. These grassroots, truly grassroots organizations that have come up, which is great. The protests across the country have increased in volume. That's great. We need a lot more, a lot quicker. It's just a fact. My friend Christy over here and me are part of a group called We Are the Flood. We Are the Flood was created by a comedian. We've seen in the past how folks like comedians on the cutting edge of commentary through satire because they're not beholden to money and powerful interests. They can tell the fucking truth. And a lot of them have been through their own struggles. That's why a lot of people get into comedy, right? There's a lot of darkness in comedy. But Cliff Cash is a Southern progressive comedian who saw that, yes, there's some people resisting, but it's not nearly enough. Who saw that the Democrats are totally fucking useless. Totally useless. If there's anything that has confirmed the fact that Democrats, mainstream Democrats, are completely interested in just maintaining their power and their station and their position, it's their response to all this. Where the fuck are you people? I mean, I get it. You've got your job. You don't want to roil people in your district. You don't want to upset your campaign contributors. But what exactly would it take on a human level? What would have to happen for you to say, you know what, this is really fucked up. We should do something. Now you have a few people that are making nothing. As I mentioned, you've got a couple of Democrats that are going to El Salvador in person to try to bring this man back, to raise attention and awareness of what's going on. But anyone that's looking to Democrats for an actual solution to the situation, we are seeing that they are as beholden to their donors and lobbyists and big money as everybody else. And what that means is it's on us. The only thing that stops us, the only thing is people power. People power, massive amounts of people in the street. In the street, calling politicians, getting uncomfortable, getting in people's faces, putting ourselves on the line. That is the only thing that stops this. And I don't know how much clearer to make it to be. This isn't a chess match where we don't know what they're going to do next. We know exactly what they're going to do next. In fact, they're telling us, and then they're laughing at us and kicking us in the balls as they do it. Where we need to go from here is massive resistance of people on every level. You can get involved in protests if you haven't been to a protest before. I know for a lot of folks, it's uncertain, it's scary. The protests that have happened have by and large been extremely peaceful, and that's okay. Not everyone is going to be in pain and resistance where they're subjecting themselves to violence or putting their bodies on the line or being disobedient civilly. That's okay. Going to one of these protests can be a first step. April 19th is the next. You know what happens the day after April 19th? April 20th, which is the day that the Insurrection Act might be invoked. I personally think that they'll can and will do it any time. I don't think they need a date, but April 20th is the 90-day marker of when Trump had his people assess whether invoking the Insurrection Act was necessary on the southern border. Now, if anybody thinks that this is really just about the southern border, you're dreaming. It might start there, but that again is the pretext for an expanding police state. When people say, hey, we might have martial law, we might have troops in every big city, in every town, in every area where people look a certain way, that is not hyperbole. None of this is hyperbole. April 20th. I think one of the disconnects is a lot of folks, as I said before, don't really have people in their lives right now that are, as of yet, personally affected by this. And honestly, I don't really either. I've been community organizing in Philly for quite a long time, but I can't necessarily point to XYZ person in my family that has been directly affected by things like VA cuts, federal worker cuts, crackdowns at universities, any numbers of these things. I think about my nephews and nieces and my cousins, my little cousins, or Brown, and I think about the society that they're going to live in, they're going to grow up in. Because they're staying here. Fuck that. They're not going somewhere else. They're staying here, they're going to live here, they're going to be happy, and they're going to be joyful. I think about them growing up in a society where thought crime, if you think anything Orwellian is hyperbole right now, again, you need to wake the fuck up, because looking forward, based on the path that we're on, I see a society and a world in which if my nephew or niece says anything, even has a thought, being monitored in their homes by any one of these devices that are now being surveilled, I think of a world in which they cannot express their mind at all, especially against injustices. And you think I'm going to let that fucking happen? You think I'm going to let that world happen for my nephews and nieces and my little cousins? You're dreaming if you think I'm going to let that happen. If in 10, 20 years, my cousin or my nephew or niece who's now 11 is at college, and if they're taken for speaking out on behalf of Palestine or speaking out against what's happening, if they're taken, you had better fucking prepare yourself for me, because I'm going to come after anyone and everyone. If you don't think that they're going to come after your family, you could be the whitest person, the wealthiest person, you could have family and friends in law enforcement. If you don't think that future is possible for you, you need to wake the fuck up, because it is very possible, and they're telling us that's where we're going. They're showing it to us. One person writes an op-ed in support of Palestine, and she's disappeared, abducted by these cowardly, stupid-ass fucking thugs in hoodies in broad daylight at Tufts. This is what we're doing? Really? This is what we're allowing? I'm mad enough for them. If you think I'm going to let this happen to my family, you really need to think again, because it's not happening. And it's not happening for a lot of my fellow organizers of color, especially of color. Now, even putting that aside for a second, even if I had a crystal ball and I could say, you know what, my family will be okay, I can look into the future and I see that my cousins, my nephews and nieces, they're speaking out, but they're not suffering consequences. We talk a lot about mental health in this country whenever there's a school shooting, whenever there's a mass shooting. Do I want my family living up, my little cousins and family members living, growing up in a society where they're muscled like this? What is mental health going to look like for them? What is the depth of depression and anxiety going to look like for them? Beyond what we already have now. What is suicide going to look like for them? When will that come? Going through your day, going to college, going to work, living in constant fear, beyond what people of color already experience, because they've seen the story, they know the fear, unlike many of us. What the fuck are we doing if we allow ourselves a society where mental health is non-existent, because now we're living in a place where our stress response is on 24/7, where we're self-surveilling now to watch what we say, watch what we do. You want to live in that place? I'm not living in that place. That's why I'm out here. That's why I'm going to continue to be out here, because I'm not living in that place where I can't say whatever the fuck I want. As I said, I got my passport right here. Born in Doylestown, grew up in New Jersey, and my shirt says Brown, born in the USA. I'm next, right? And I'm not being dramatic. I am next. Who's next after that? White woman, white man, people that have been in this country for generations. Soon you look around and there's pretty much nobody left but a handful of people that can say whatever they want, do whatever they want. If you think that that's a faraway place, then you need to wake the fuck up, because that is not a faraway place. The path towards that place is paved, and we're on that path. And I have to remind myself of this. I come back again to the notion that this is one of the dangers of living in privilege, of growing up in a privileged society, of not having seen failed states in the flesh. It can't happen here, right? It is happening here. And for reasons that I completely understand, most of us are just totally dissociated from it. Totally dissociated. We haven't seen it in the flesh, and maybe that's the answer. Maybe we can't. Maybe you literally cannot, because of how your brain is wired. You cannot take the proper precautions because you haven't lived it, you haven't seen it, and your defenses are so strong that you will, until the danger is on your doorstep, you will say it can't happen here. It can't happen to me. Or maybe it could, but I can't deal with it. It's just too much. That's a reason to be more vigilant. That's a reason to be extremely vigilant. Not live in fear. Still do what you do. Go through your day. Refuse to be silenced. Refuse to have your joy taken from you. But it also means being awake and aware of the circumstances around. It means being not being naive to, if you post X, Y, or Z thing, whose attention it could draw. It means not being naive to, for those of us that have been into Social Security our whole lives, that just going away. George Carlin said it, 20 years ago? They're coming after your Social Security. They're coming after their pensions. They'll get it all. They'll get it all eventually if we let them. This stuff is in plain sight, okay? It's in plain sight. The good news here is we don't have to guess what they're going to do. We don't have to, sit there and think about strategy and what's the next move. It's all laid out in Project 125. It's all out there. We were going to have, I'm going to wrap up here. We were going to have a situation where what we've been doing in different in areas, especially in Washington, D.C., the organizers that have been out there, we've been making it really democratic, and it's been awesome. When we've had rallies, protests, we've had folks just come up and speak. What does this all mean to you? What are you afraid of? How does this affect you? And people have really, really often tragic but powerful things to share about family members that have been directly affected, about what they're afraid of, where we're going. But a lot of people haven't had a place or a chance to share how they're feeling. It's like everyone is terrified, doesn't know what's going to happen, but there doesn't feel like there are spaces where someone can voice those things openly and honestly. At the protests that we've had, we've given folks that chance. And we're going to be back out here. Obviously not in this exact location, because not everyone's going to climb my truck. But we're going to be back out in Rittenhouse, City Hall, anywhere that people congregate. And the next time we're out here, we want people to speak. We want to hear you. Everyone can have a turn at the mic. You can share whatever you want. Even if you think this is overblown, even if you think, you know what, this guy's full of shit, he's just scaremongering, we want to hear that too. Convince us that we're scaremongering or being dramatic, and then listen to us and make your own decision. One of the places we'll be at next, probably next week, is universities. And I'll end on this note. I actually am a Penn alumnus, the Penn alum, right? I was Penn 2003 to 2007. Graduated in 2007. It's been a long time now. And this is really, really important. It's not just silencing individuals, it's making education the enemy. It's destroying education. It's destroying inquiry. It's destroying curiosity. It's erasing history. It's censorship. It's bans. This is one of the things we're seeing some of it happening more out in the open with Columbia and Harvard and some of these other institutions. But the fierceness with which they're disallowing, disappearing, making criminal certain kinds of speech, it's terrifying. It's terrifying the depth of it and how many different places they're doing it, including erasing archives, erasing history at the federal level. There are many things that are happening out in the open and behind the scenes. But I'll return to this. We know what the playbook is. We know what the plan is, and now it's in our hands to do something about it. And honestly, at some point, if we don't, then it's on us. So if you want to get involved, as I said, there's a lot of different ways. If you want to learn more about our group, check us out. Hashtag We Are the Flood. We've got a Discord. We're on Blue Sky. We're on Facebook. Websites: wearetheflood.net, donaldlovesvladimir.com, and Wolves Den, wolves-den.org. wolf-den.org, where you can get all kinds of resources on resistance. It's really weird to be up here. It's not weird in the sense that I know why I'm doing this and I know it needs to be said, but as I've done this, seeing people walk around, seeing the relative absence of attention to what's happening, it makes me feel like I am in a Black Mirror episode or the Twilight Zone. And I'm going to keep doing it, but if we keep going down this path, it'll be the federal troops that stop me next time. I mean, at some point, we just have to laugh about it. Anyway, that's it. For those that have been here, thank you for listening. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. I appreciate that.
About the heralds, but instead of doom and gloom, it's hope and peace.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate your voice.
Yeah, of course. Yo.
See you on that front line. I'll be on there with you. So
Thank you.
maybe I ain't listening, but I know what's up.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. I don't want to make this all doom and gloom. One of the things that we talked about, Christy and I actually did a radio show. Yes.